Okay, good morning, world. It is Friday morning, end of the week. Whoop, whoop. Okay, this morning I feel like so many different topics that I want to talk about. I feel like I want to talk a little bit about this and a little bit about that, you know. Otherwise, because I don't make videos over the weekend, I feel like I'll forget stuff by Monday. I'm pregnant, so I forget everything now. So look, one of the topics that I wanted to talk about this morning, based off an article I read on my phone this morning, about in North Ipswich, Brisbane. There's some residents up there who, bless their souls, have set up a, sort of like a street charity cupboard situation where they've got like old pantries that they've painted and screwed to their fences, and they stock it with canned goods and nappies and toys and sanitary products for women and all sorts of good things to help people out, because everyone's doing it tough. Everyone is doing it tough. Everyone's been doing it tough for a long time, I think it's such a great thing to do. And it's so funny actually, because years and years ago, I lived in Brisbane, and at the time that I was living up there and I was in like a share house situation, I wanted to start up a sort of like a charity, but like not like an official organisation. Like I was just going to spend my spare time doing this. And I had like, I had like a journal, and I had like worked everything out in it of, what it should be, like what I wanted it to be, what I wanted it to function like and stuff like that. And it was going to be called Free Feed. But it wasn't just going to be about food. I wanted it to be like every weekend, or as often as I could through the month, which would be advertised. I held like a park lunch at one of the local parks to where I lived, and just cook up like snags on the barbie with bread and sauce, and I would donate as much as I could in foods and things that would help anyone who's living on the streets, and so also in that, like when people are living in the street, canned food is not necessarily going to help them. They don't have a microwave. And also I was going to do like a once a month collection, where if people wanted to donate anything, children's toys, clothes, things like that they could, and I would go pick it up and have it at the the park lunch, and it was all free, so if anyone needed anything, otherwise whatever didn't get taken, like if it wasn't needed, then you go and you take it to an op shop. It's not like it's going to get left there. It's not like there was going to be no inconvenience to anyone. It wasn't going to create a problem at the park or anything like that. you know. And yeah, and anyway, that all like went down the plug hole, because as soon as I was like ready to do it, and then someone informed me at the time about oh no, you can't cook food or give food to even the homeless living in the park, unless you have specific permits, and you're registered as a charity organisation, and you have to have food handler certificate, and you have to have this and that, blah, 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 and you got to follow all these guidelines from the council. And I was like, what? Oh, okay, so to go cook up some snags at the barbecue at the park, and like just pass them out for free, like I could get in legal trouble for that. Like, what? That is so stupid. Like, why is it made so hard with red tape to be a good person doing a good thing? Why is there so much red tape to go and help people who need help? To feed people who are starving. Like, why is that made so hard? It's ridiculous. And really, I mean, is that not a situation where it's like, okay, council, you have blood on your hands because people could die of starvation because they're not getting access to what sort of services you say they should be getting help from instead? I mean, I bet even the organisations that there are around are probably overwhelmed with the amount of people that they have to help. I mean, do they have the resources and the funding and everything to feed all the homeless, to give them, bags full of clothes and sanitary items and, all this sort of stuff, to all the homeless? Are all the homeless being given shelter, somewhere to live? No. Do all the homeless have somewhere that they can go and have a daily shower? No. Obviously, the charities or organisations that are trying to help, the situation and trying to help people, they are also overwhelmed. They do not have the funding or the resources. So wouldn't it be a blessing, anyone else who wants to stick their hand up and help out in whatever way they could, just like the residents in North Ipswich who are doing the cupboards that are attached to their fence. It's not blocking any roadways or pathways, or anything like that. It's all kept nice and neat and stuff. I saw the photos. And a lot of people are like participating in it, like in helping to donate goods, as well as a lot of people going there to actually grab some free stuff, because they need it. And I just think that's such a great thing. And the council is red taping it, and saying, it's illegal dumping, and you're blocking, pathways or roadways or whatever, and it's like, why are you making it so hard for people just to help each other in life? Why are you doing that? Sometimes it is like one of the residents even said, oh, it's not because the system's broken. It's working exactly as intended. They don't want people helping each other. I think they do want people to be in the system, they do want people to be reliant on government handouts and things like that, but no, they do not want people helping each other in a community spirit way, to be comrades, like that. And it reminds me as well of a story during the COVID pandemic. Back on the peninsula where we're from, there was people who had set up like a community garden down like a alleyway that was like the side, just beside their property. And so, you can imagine like what's an alleyway down the side of a house doing, right? It's probably, maybe it's got a pathway, and then it's got some, grass that's probably, council responsibility to mow, but they don't mow it because, when is council going there to go, upkeep the grass? Of course, like the residents just take care of it and make it all nice and neat, whatever. Anyway, so they've decided to utilize that space and grow food there, and had signs up to say, help yourself. And we all know, especially through the COVID pandemic, that so many people were struggling to feed themselves. Something that should be a God-given right, just to eat, to live, to survive. God didn't put us on this planet to go slave labor, to earn gold coins and paper notes, to then go buy food. That's not, I don't think that's what God intended. No other animal has to go be a slave to earn gold coins and paper notes to feed themselves to live, do they? But us humans are. That's how intelligent is this system, and the council came in on that property during the COVID pandemic and ripped it up and said, oh no, it's a health and safety issue. You can't be doing that. We haven't given you permission to do that. We're not giving you permission to do that. No, you can't have a community garden where people can help themselves. Nope. Doesn't matter if it was helping people. Doesn't matter if it was feeding people who might have otherwise gone hungry. Nope. I mean, what is wrong with the councils these days? And then one of the next articles that I read this morning was about how the council is cracking down on people who have fake grass, especially fake grass out the front, and not necessarily just their lawn, but how like a lot of houses in like suburban areas, have like, where you've got like your property and then like beyond your fence line or your driveway line, there's like a pathway, and then there might be like another little like grass strip, where people put their bins on. Anyway, that section, which I believe is called the verge. Anyway, that section there, the council's like, no, you cannot do fake grass there. Why can't we do fake grass there? What if you've got your whole property fake grassed, or you could concrete it, really. You could have pebbles and little rockery gardens and all sorts of things there. And then what, you got to own a lawnmower so that you can mow every week your little verge where you put your bins on, because the council says no to fake grass there. Says no to fake grass there. For what? Why? And the guy writing the article is like pointing out as well, it's like, it's not like fake grass is the same as it was, 10 years ago, where maybe it had issues with drainage or things like that and ended up a bit soggy, or anything like to do with that. Things change over time, don't they? The technology, the way things are made, manufactured, improves, just like any other sort of technology, like mobile phones, cars, etc., everything. And anyway, and so he's like saying that's ridiculous, and I agree. What sort of, how people refer to Victoria as the nanny state because of just all the ridiculous legislation that we have, which, I mean, we have all these local politicians and stuff, right? And I mean, I haven't really gotten into what our local politicians stand for, what good they've done, or what they fight for, or whatever like that. I just look, to be honest, in the last however many years of my life, I just really haven't had the time. But I just think, what are our local politicians doing? Because do they not have an issue? Do they not have people emailing them and complaining about local councils? Because I can tell you now as well, in my local area, the local council has been a problem. It has been a problem. We have had issues with the local council, and we've spoken to other people, about our issues with the local council, and the stories that we have heard from so many other people about their issues with the local council, it's just innumerous. And it's ridiculous that so many people have such a hard time dealing with the local council. It's like they're sat up on a pedestal, isn't it? And they're all big and important, and they're the local government. You don't want to say anything wrong about them. You don't want to do anything wrong by them. But it's like they've got no qualms whatsoever doing wrong by you. They've got no qualms whatsoever in, making your life harder, or, even just things with planning permits and building permits and things like that. They can just keep charging people, oh no, we're not happy with your application, you got to go redo it, and then you got to pay all over again. We're, for this reason, they nitpick stuff. They don't make it easy for people either, financially, with permits and approvals and things like that. Everybody basically has to go through an architect and a builder and an expert, and you have to have engaged with so many different experts in different fields just to put together your application. Because if you try to do it yourself, the council will basically just knock it back. Anyway, it's just ridiculous, and I really don't think that there is enough outcry about it. And I recall recently, in the last month or two or whatever, hearing about the government is going to be taking power, stripping power away from local governments in regards to building zones and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, awesome. Maybe we'll have less issues to do with planning permits and all that sort of stuff, if the council is kind of losing losing that right to monopolise and control all of that the way they do. And anyway, and then I found out, oh no, it's really got to do with like specific areas that they want to develop, like the government wants to develop. It's got to do with like big development too. And you get further into it and it's got to do with everyone knows that there's been a housing crisis and there's been lack of government housing and things like that. It's actually to open up doorways for themselves as well, to because they wanted to like build some giant apartment buildings that will probably be shonky, but apartment buildings to be government housing. And I believe there was one they wanted to like knock down and rebuild, which was actually going to displace so many residents that way. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's like things sound like, oh, the government gives a crap and is making some changes to legislation to open doors for people to have planning permits and building permits approved, that otherwise the council was, being jerks about. No, it turns out it's for the government's own gain. It's still for rich developers' gain. It's not for everyday people. You still can't do what you wanted to do, basically. But yeah, there should be, more outcry, more people emailing their local, politicians, that are supposed to represent us and our concerns and our needs and what we want addressed, what we want changed. And those politicians should be, voicing up about it, shouldn't they? They should be kicking up a stink about it. If we say so, that's their whole job. They get paid with our tax dollars to represent us, and what we say that we have an issue with. And like, are they? I don't know. I really don't. Not like I'm showing my ignorance there. I should look more into what my local politician is standing for. I did just recently get a free calendar from him, so thank you. But yeah, it's just, and I mean, talking about politicians, I mean, they all act like clowns, don't they? They act like clowns. You watch Parliament Time on the TV, and I mean, they act like just bratty children, don't they? The way they speak to each other, and talk over each other and yell and carry on, and basically like they're treating Mr. Speaker like, Mom, Darren pointed his finger at me. Like they all be clowns. And then you've got, Pauline Hanson doing a burqa party trick. You got politicians in there doing the 6-7. Like, well, for those who know, like, it's just, these people are being paid our tax dollars, like, they get paid so much money. Do you know how much they earn? Like, do you know how much they are on? Even like go up to like what the not Prime Minister, but like, your state premier earns, even after retirement. And I can tell you right now as well, the last Victorian premier, he retired when he retired so that he could get the retirement package, and not be fired without it or something. But we won't get into him. you know, he does have legal matters in the works, doesn't he? Anyway, I think I might leave it there this morning, guys. And yep, it's Friday. Food for thought for Friday. I hope you all have a great day. The sun is out again today. End of the week. Hopefully you have a good day. Hopefully you have a good weekend. Yeah, I think that's about it. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.